of our sponsors. Oh wait, not that one yet.
Not that one. Did I just close something? I better not have closed anything. We all are recording on everything. Let me see. Man, that's recording. You two people are getting bonus. All right, here we go. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. That's right. We've raised our prices from free to mostly free. Joining me tonight. Need a secret occult room with easy cleanup? Talk to the understanding architect, Robert Wyatt.
Hey, if you got the money, we can do anything.
Literally, it has it. We dug that 60-foot pit that you wanted full of lye underneath the house. Don't
All
worry.
I'm saying is,
Clink.
in the 33 years now that I've been doing this, we have done more than a few things that were never actually told what they actually were going to be. So we would write on there, storage. It wasn't storage. And it's like, we talk to clients, I'm like, well, what are we going to use this for? And they'd like, look, well, I have this large collection of guns and I really don't want people to know about it. So I want you to maybe just call that storage. Oh, okay.
Storage. Call this one sexy storage. Yeah.
Why are we putting these anchors into the concrete wall? Don't ask.
Don't ask. Why is there a drain? He dares you to challenge him to a cinnamon toast eating contest. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's Kenny Terry.
And I won't show up.
Do you not like Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Oh, because I challenged you to a Glock match and then didn't show up.
Oh. I'll bring Cinnamon Toast Crunch next time as a prize. Then everyone will show up.
Speaking of donating time for a useless endeavor.
Is that supposed to be for Yeeman?
It potentially
potentially could be. And he can't wait to get his cut of those raised membership fees. It's Yeeman Lin. Get him back in that money action.
It's like those free federal primers I was supposed to get, right?
Yeah, the free federal primers.
Let's be honest. The joke's on him. I mean, the board gave themselves a raise. They took money away from the president. I mean,
factually correct.
That's what it is.
Well, we kind of talked on the Patreon side. We had a pretty good discussion about dot occlusion. So if you guys want to check that out, it's going to cost you $1, but it's kind of worth it. Anyways, things on the interwebs this week. Anyways, what I did in guns, went out there, zeroed this fine Walther PP. This damn little thing's growing on me, and I kind of don't like it because it's much like the Canic, but it kind of returns pretty well. And I sat there at 20 yards, and I shot 3 rounds on a piece of steel that was like this. Like one of those guns where you just put the dot on, and then you fire, and it returns right back, and it fire again, and then you fire, and you're like, all right, let me see if I can go hit this over there, and I point the gun over there.
Shadow too?
Yeah,
I mean, it's you're going to shoot a Glock 34, damn it.
I am shooting a Glock 34. I haven't bought a holster. This thing does not have base plates. When I get a holster and this thing gets base plates, then you might be able to worry. But for at least Utah State, I will shoot my Glock 34, and I'm very happy.
Next Sunday, he'll have a holster and base plates.
No, I'm not going to do. I shot my 2 T-Rex arms drills.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I shot my Gen 3 34, my Gen 5 MOS with my Steiner on it, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, I watched. See your hands and make sure you're not crossing your fingers or nothing.
But no, it's. Apparently they fixed the out of battery thing on some of like the newer models, but like it's kind of weird. It's a weird experience because even Mike, I handed it to Mike, and Mike's pretty much a dead eye. I mean, he can hit anything on the range with the 9mm handgun, especially if it has a dot. He'll just set it out there and just goes bam. But when you see him shoot the Walther, it's like snap. Like it's like one of those where you're at a parent, you're like, all right, I got to make sure that he doesn't double this thing. Because it's very obvious that it has a lot of flip on it, but it's a very sporty trigger. I mean, it's pretty easy. Like it's hard for me to break sub 2/10 on splits, and I can hit 17s and 18s pretty easy with this thing. So it kind of sits well for me, but not as the Glock 34. It has to do a lot to dethrone that thing. What's really cool is, you guys see that, that Ohio police video with their P320s?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something
the
else.
Minneapolis one. I think it was Minneapolis PD.
I don't know who it was, but Steger posted it up, and then it went everywhere.
Oh, I saw it on
everybody
YouTube
was posting that thing.
Yeah.
I saw it on YouTube. Yeah.
I mean, it's
just like, wow.
I would say that a gun's not supposed to do that in a level 3 holster.
No, I agree, but I mean,
the guy almost shot his fellow officer's knee, completely, and it had nothing to do with that officer's fault. There's no way a gun in the holster when you bend over to pick something up should release the striker.
Yeah,
have the firing pin block
talking
not
about
catch
cops.
it.
Well, I mean, Riley
He
Bowman.
bent over wrong, Tom.
He bent.
Yeah. Riley Bowman actually had a pretty interesting look at it, and he kind of freeze framed it. And so if you look at all the cops in that department, they all carry their keys on their weak side, right? Weak side front. And so there is a possibility that as the officer bends down, you can see the other officer have to kind of bend back a little bit, and he kind of bumps into him, and who knows? You know, it might just be another reason for SIG to say, hey, our guns are still fine. It's Safari Land's fault.
I'm sure Safari Land would really appreciate that. No, look, I mean, at the end of the day,
you know those unsafe
it just
duty
looks
holsters
really, really bad because the SIG 320 has a reputation, a pretty well-deserved reputation of going off when it should not have gone off, and this does not help it by any stretch. Now, it's not to say that the cops didn't do something janky, because cops are sometimes funny that way, but at the same time, that's not good for SIG.
So people will buy new SIGs and they'll be like, the SIGs are safe, and they'll go on the internet and they'll take a rubber mallet and they'll put prime cartridge in it, or they'll even put a live round and they'll beat the tar out of the thing with a mallet.
Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't go off. And then we see other photos of those P320s getting a high round count and then the frame completely separating from the bottom of the gun. And then there's also reports that after a certain amount of time, the guns just will not hold a 0 any longer. And I would bet you, because if you've ever messed around with the P320, it has a couple of notches back there where the fire control unit sits in, and then it has that main tab that goes in there. And it's a pre-cock striker. I bet you as those things wear off or you shoot them and the back kind of loosens up, I bet you what happens is that the slide is probably able to separate from the frame a little bit, and that variance in there will separate the striker from the sear and then allow the sear to go forward. Oh, that's what's
causing it to break?
Yes. I think it's allowing it to, literally there's enough play that starts getting into that frame that will allow that striker to fall forward. Now, the other question is okay, so it happened. Why didn't the firing pin block stop that damn striker from setting off a cartridge?
That's a good question, actually.
Because if you think about that, is if the striker is released, the firing pin block stops the striker from moving forward. So that means that there's some jostling. That means you would have to think that there's some sort of jostling of the trigger bar or the fire control unit moving forward or in a direction that would allow the trigger to almost perceivably pull itself, or the fire control unit moving forward, which releases the striker, which it puts the trigger bar in a position to move the firing pin block up. You have to defeat multiple levels of safety for something like that to happen. Or it is so loose in the tolerances that are being built that it doesn't need anything. Because the other thing that's interesting about the P320 is if we have on this Walther. Let me see here. On the Walther, you have a firing pin block, kind of where you have a Glock, and on a Smith & Wesson has it under, but it's a very distinct and separate unit. On the SIG is literally on the same striker. It has a little firing pin block that sits literally right next to the same striker. So if that gets jostled and that releases at the same time, then you can defeat the firing pin block and have the striker go forward at the same time.
Interesting.
It's a weird conundrum.
I'd be really interested to come back and revisit this thing in a month or two when they get when they go through and do all their investigations to see what happened. Yeah. Because I don't know. It's easy to jump to conclusions because SIG doesn't exactly have the best reputation in the market of putting out quality products.
I mean, they only had one.
Initial.
They only had like a great reputation for 30 years, 40 years that they squandered on that, so that's pretty solid. But I think every one of us is like, I grab a SIG P320, I pointed out, there's like, man, this gun feels good. It seems like it shoots exactly where it's supposed to. It feels very 1911-ish. The X-frames are pretty awesome. I think we all kind of
100%.
wish that gun was fantastic. But the problem is that every situation where it breaks is a situation where it can still discharge. Like when the grip frame tears away from the slide, it's not like the trigger goes away with the grip frame and the barrel separates. It's like,
why is that happening?
That all that energy is going somewhere. So, and it seems to be separating right underneath that firing control unit.
Because the FCU is a separate element, and then you have the grip that goes into that, and then the slide on top of that. And so you're saying that the grip module is disintegrating or blowing apart or whatever.
Shearing, yeah, just tearing itself apart. It's really weird. I don't remember it. Have any of you guys remembered pistols breaking in that fashion? Because like a 2011 you'd think would be a gun that would, with how the grip module goes on there, would break in could break in a similar fashion.
I mean, plastic grips have cracked, but nothing like what the SIGs are doing.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, what was going on with the Glocks that they were trying to quietly hush up? Because I mean, Glock on a lot of its early models had some of their similar problems, but they were quick to hush it up, and they didn't have social media to fight against.
The one thing, reading Barrett's book back in the day when he talked about Glock, I forget the name of the book, but Paul and Barrett's book, is leading in the barrels. People would go out there and like shoot a bunch of lead, especially in their 45 modes, lead up the barrels, blow up the gun. The other thing that they kind of kept up was the Tupperware, the Glock Tupperware that had like the peel up Tupperware lid. And they would put like a post in there that you would slide your Glock through to hold it in the center, and people would leave their Glocks loaded, and then they would be coming home from the range, kabammo! And then they would discharge there, and so they had to settle some of those issues. And I forget, I would have to go back there and look at the book, but those are the two things that I remember the most from Glock.
So in that aspect, it was probably majority user error.
Yeah, some of those, would probably be majority user error. I
suspect the same is going to be with the SIG too. I mean, how many times have we ever seen a news story or read an article about the gun just went off?
Oh yeah.
Where was your finger when that gun went off?
Yeah, I mean, but these are weird. Sure.
No, I'm totally with you.
I remember
it's just strange.
The SR9, when the Ruger SR9 came out, like Ruger had a recall on those because like some of them like failed like drop testing, and some people still, I remember like on 2009 YouTube or 7 YouTube, people just slamming those and hitting them with all sorts of stuff to see if they could get them to discharge, and they still couldn't get them to discharge. But it seems like the P320 is having issues.
I remember when the 320 came out and it first started having those issues, and Ernie Langdon went and took one of his Berettas from like all the way up in the air, and he drops it, and
drops
I'm
it
like,
please
don't do
that.
that.
The hammer cocked. Yep. No, it's pretty funny, and you still have to remember that entire P320 system was built to be a double action only SIG P250.
Yeah. And
everything was squeezed into that unit and onto that slide to make that system work. So
well, it's a pretty cool system, and I mean, I maintain that SIG doesn't do anything right in its first, second, or probably even third generation, but eventually they get it good. And they've been around for a long time. They have some good product. They're probably going to figure it out. Is that going to stop me from making fun of them every single time I do a new shooter introduction? Hell no.
Says the guy who solved the problem with a gun that does not have a firing pin block that you can hit with a hammer and light off front.
Don't forget. He made the firing pin longer too for safety. He made the firing pin longer. It's all right.
I'm not the one who's dropping it face down or butt down.
No, it's pretty crazy, the story of that freaking pistol. You guys do anything this week, Kenny?
No.
No, he doesn't. He didn't. Did you do any long range shooting?
I have not shot a firearm in a month and a half, 2 months.
Oh my gosh! Look at him.
My man.
He's
My
wasting.
man.
He's wasting away. Robert.
Outside of just backyard shooting, I did go over. I was actually over at the range, Slipsa. We had it was an RO range kind of cleanup day. So Lex and I went over and we were working on upgrading our Wi-Fi system for all of our solar panels. And gosh dang it, we went through and we're basically doubled up all of our panels. We got them almost all the way done. And apparently we had a thing happen where on top of the bifold ladders, one of them, it actually has a magnet on the underside, which I assume is probably to hold some tools or things like that. I didn't know I didn't know there was a magnet there, and so I took our charge controller and I stuck it down on the top of the ladder so that I could work on it, and then it went to hell. It just freaking skitzed out all over the place, and I was like, what the crap? And what should have been 10 minutes ended up taking an hour and a half before we're finally I pull it off and I'm like, oh, that's not good. And Lex looked at it and it's like, ah, shit. So we had to buy a new charge controller.
I remember when I found a magnet in that time you discovered what magnets used to do to old CRT TVs.
Yeah.
You used to run them to the side. You're like, isn't this cool? And then your parents would come and like, what the hell are you doing? Stop doing that. It's like, I didn't know. I thought it was a rainbow rock. But yeah.
So I ordered another one. I got it arrived today. I'll put it in tomorrow. But we got talking, and we are thinking that we're actually going to buy another panel and another setup so that we can try and actually charge up all of our battery backups and keep them right at the range. So that they're always topped off. You never have a problem. They're just going to work. And then the match directors will take their iPads home with them because that you kind of don't want to leave that at the range. That's just security-wise, that's too much of an issue. But so we may actually do that. The other thing that I talked with your pops, Kenny, and I was like, hey, we need new iPads because our oldest ones are 10 years old and the newest ones are 8 years old.
Yeah.
And so we've got to go to the board and ask them for 15 new iPads at about $450 to $500 a pop.
Gosh, remember when those damn things had just come out and everyone's like, look at these iPads. Everyone's got to have. Remember when everyone was walking around with a gigantic tablet? Suckers, losers.
Mm-hmm.
Now we saw why not one in our pocket.
Yep.
Why not try to just make the switch to an Android?
Because Android sucks for entering data as the RO. For match management, it's the bomb. But the iPad is so much better. No, it's exactly that way. Match management on an Android is substantially better than in the iPad. Because on the Android you can push notification or you can push updates.
That's right. The iOS. Yeah, that's right. The iOS push notification. It just kills it.
Yeah, and in the classic appeal to authority, Ken Nelson uses iPads, and if he thought the Android version was that much better, that's what he'd be using. But the iPad is just and you can tell because when you're out in the sun with the two of those things, the screen interface is just so much better on the iPad. And I'm not like I am a little bit of an Apple fanboy because I got a lot of Apple stuff, but it's in this case I would use whatever is superior. And I've just found the iPad to be superior for entering scores and things like that. It just works better.
Yeah.
And so we gotta.
I mean, if only there was an organization that could coordinate with Practice Score to say, "Hey, we'd really like for you to work on these things."
I think they should do that. It would be really. Oh, actually, here's another fun thing. I don't know if I talked about this. I may have talked about it last week, but we had a section coordinator thing that I needed to handle, and we had some people that needed to go down in their classification just because they got old. They're not shooting as the level they used to be. So we sent in a form request back in February, and then thought it was being handled, and then flash forward to 2 weeks ago, I get an email from the USP, our member, and they're like, hey, nothing's happened. It's been like 5 months. And so I'm like, okay, so let's figure out this. And so I sent an email to the director of IT. That's was it Rick Brotzel, and I'm like, what's up? And I get no response for a week. At which point I kind of got pissed, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to send a letter to, let's see, Donna Webb, Bruce Gary, Rick Brotzel, Ted Murphy, and I shit you not, when you include everybody in the world, shit gets done. I got an email in like 4 minutes.
That's weird. I emailed everybody, and only McManus answered mine.
Well, funny enough, coming up, I sent another email, and surprise, I didn't get a response to that one. So.
Oh, I saw that email. That's right. Let's. Yemen, you do anything in shooting?
I am following the Kenny Terry model of excellence. You can't lose money in USPSA if you don't actually.
If you don't actually participate.
Wait a second. We're losing money.
Well, I tell you what,
of
USPSA is not losing money anymore. I tell you what.
Well, let's talk about membership fees. So we got a release. What was it on Thursday? Friday. We had an increase in our membership fees, and so, let's see. Let me pull up here what our so the annual membership went from what 40
to 65.
40 to 65. The 3-year membership went up to 195. The lifetime went up from 500 to 1,000. What was the 5-year before?
3 and 5 years basically doubled in price.
Yeah,
because the old 3-year was 105 and it went to 195. So there's basically no.
It was like it'd save you like $15 back in the day.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So. And so there's a large jump into it, and obviously these.
It was anywhere from 62.5% all the way up to double.
Yeah, because if it's $40, every $4 it increases is a 10% raise on the annual membership, and so it jumps up almost 60%, or sometimes a little bit over 60%. And so, listen. This administration kind of sucks, and inflation is pretty bad, but it hasn't been a 60% increase because of inflation. And as far as I am aware, everyone on the board voted for this except
for Area 8.
Yeah, Frank. So
and Area 1 because he wasn't there.
And Area 1 because Area 1 was actually driving to the Area 1 championship when that vote took place.
Okay. And so we had a unanimous increase, vote almost unanimous, to increase the dues. And so why are we increasing the dues this much? And so, Mr. Lynn, was there any talk of increasing the dues while you were president? And if there was, how much were they thinking about increasing the dues, and for what reason?
The discussion to actually increase dues has probably been going on for the better part of a year and a half to 2 years. I'm sure someone will correct me if I bring this up, but I think the last time the dues were increased was 20 years ago. Yeah, this is 20
I
years
seem to
ago.
remember it was 2004 or something like that.
So to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, a dues increase was going to be inevitable. I mean, you're talking, 20 years. I mean, $40 in 2004 isn't the same as $40 in 2023. There was some analysis done on the actual cost per member. So I know Donna Webb was working on that. And so if you take a look at the $40 that we get from a USPSA member, the actual revenue to the organization was something like $25. Again, I'm kind of, it's numbers off the top of my head, but there was a certain amount of administrative cost that wasn't being covered, and then you've got all the strike fees. Either way, raising the dues was a topic of discussion. As far as the actual how much the dues were supposed to be raised, that was something that was being done at a committee level. And so I didn't have the opportunity to kind of see what was being presented there. That was done at this past board meeting.
Well, Bruce Gary, so they had Area 1 was this weekend, and he had his section coordinator meeting for Area 1, and Dirk Hopkins was, I didn't go, and Dirk Hopkins was kind enough to go for me. And he talked a bit about that, and Dirk said that everybody there was basically in the what the F. Not so much about the price, the price of it, as much as how they handled it. It was how they handled it that's really kind of like made a lot of people upset. But Bruce on the fee committee told them that this was designed to basically to not punish the existing shooter, because the new shooters wouldn't know a difference. But one of the options that they had is that, I mean, they could phase it in over time. And for whatever reason, they decided not to.
You
And
mean somebody with a louder voice on the board overrode the recommendation of the committee that may actually spent time researching this subject?
That seems to be a common occurrence in USPSA, to be really honest with you. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing about it is USPSA as an organization had the opportunity to do a couple things. I don't look the membership fee it had to raise. If you're being like,
I think we were
observably
all
Most people
thinking
understand
it was going to be raised.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Okay, everything's gone up. We've all gone from 2020 to 2023, and we've seen what Bidenomics has done to the country. We get it. And yet, at the same time, we're members of an organization, and you would think that as members of that organization, if it was truly a member like centric and driven organization, that organization would at least give the membership time to be like, hey, we're going to be raising the fees. And on this date in October, the new fee structure will go in place. If you want to get in ahead of that and maybe take advantage of a life membership at what would be the old rate, you should do that now. A lot of companies do that. Professionals let people know what's going to happen before they go and fuck them. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Before they make a change.
Well, this kind of brings kind of the idea of what might be some of the motivations, because I think most people realize that there would be an increase of dues. Maybe we'd have an increase of dues from $40 to $50 or to $55 for an annual membership. But then we're starting to see the $65 range, and then all the other ones go up. And not only that, we don't want anyone to buy in at the former price, because go on the website. You go on the website on Friday, and blammo, all the new prices if you went to renew your membership or do it are right on there. And I think there's a lot of people who understand that the cost of the sport has gone up, but then there's also other motivations for why the organization might need more money right now.
Well, and that's the funny thing about it is they released the board minutes after the new fee structure went into place, and this was deliberately done. This wasn't something like, oh, we screwed up. This was a deliberate act.
Yep.
And the organization did this on purpose. And so it starts to beg the question. Now, if the membership fee went from $40 to $45, I don't think anybody would really you'd have people that are going to get pissed. That happens. Yeah, that's a thing. But when it goes from $40 to $65, now you have this situation of the membership sitting there and saying, well, what exactly are we getting for this membership? What justifies this kind of a price increase in this short of frame with no notice and no ability to make comments or concerns about known at all? And at that point, then you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, well, why are we paying like $100,000 to DNROI? Why does marketing DME get this much money? Why do they have assistants? Why does the director of IT have why are they getting paid to do what they're doing when they're not even doing their job?
The financial situation is, why can't we have a clear view of the finances and how much is actually being spent on a level? Because I would imagine like the income of USPSA is, if it was ran pretty well, even on $40, and the amount of people who've come in and come into the sport over the past few years, could probably still do pretty well if there wasn't a whole lot spent out on travel and company credit cards and stuff like that, where people are have lost control of how to spend the money in a wise and correct fashion as a public entity.
Right, and that's kind of the concern. I mean, it's like it's one of these weird things I was just noticing. Is like the board of directors, they all got like an increase in their stipend that they use to do their duties and stuff like that. And you're sitting here and you're like, okay, we're in a budget issue or a crisis right now. We're obviously not making money, so we need to increase the fees. Instead of asking people to tighten their belts, no, let's give the board of directors more money.
Well, hold on. Not even that, because it's not like a lot of people are still, when they pay their $65, going to be ineligible to vote for board members. Oh wait, that's happening. That's right. There's less people eligible. So
well, and that's kind of the other funny thing is, I mean, you've got 37,000 something members in USPSA, but of that, only 20. Well, let's just say like 20,000 are active.
It's roughly 2/3 that are active, and then eligible voters in the last election cycle was
26.
Yep.
Okay. Well, if the people who are active, but all those people who are inactive, when they see that fee increase, what's the likelihood of those people who are inactive being like, I'll just kick in another $65? They're probably going to drop.
Well, and the other thing that's kind of,
go ahead.
The other thing is kind of like USPSA is very happy to send us surveys and to float things out there and see what kind of ideas get moved around and then shot down and then kind of. But the funny thing is like out of all the things that get leaked, out of all the things that get discussed, it was like this one was able to basically fly under the wire and everyone got hit by it on Friday.
Yeah. And it's just USPSA has never been good about not stepping on their own shoes. They're just notorious about it. I mean, like the production thing. I mean, even Area 1 is like, yeah, we got that wrong. You have to be a member for a year. Yeah, we got that wrong. The USPSA president and board of directors has to have their RO card before they take office. Yeah, we got that wrong. And it kind of like begs the question, who's running the ship there? Because if you have this board of directors who are admittedly, they're trying to do the right thing, and yet time and time again, they just keep getting it wrong and wrong and wrong.
Yep. Well, remember,
that's a problem.
This is all just a neutering of the presidential position. Because you wouldn't have this under Foley. You might have a price increase, but you wouldn't have the roughshod board all unanimous and be able to take the organization in kind of a direction. There's no counterbalance to it. And the presidency used to be the counterbalance to the board. So,
yeah,
how does this affect us as individual shooters? Because like I know for myself, I sat there and I saw this and I was like $65. Like I honestly I have a lot of fun shooting club matches, and Utah State's about the only major I shoot every year. And it's like, well, do I want to pay $225 pretty much in match fee and membership fee to go shoot Utah State every year? It's a great match. I like hanging out with my friends and doing it, but that's kind of where I'm at on that because my pistol skills can grow and I can have different metrics of measuring them without the sport. Kenny?
Well, that's kind of where I'm at. Is like my days of shooting a shit ton of majors is over. So the only thing I shoot really anymore is Utah State. So I'm on the same point. Like, is the membership worth it for me to shoot the one major I shoot a year, or should I say fucking only shoot club matches now? I mean, USPSA has pissed me off quite a bit anymore, anyways. So just this added on, everything Robert said is now I'm thinking it's my membership's lapsed, so I either have to renew it to shoot Utah State or just, not shoot the first one in 15 years.
Well, the crazy thing is like we're very willing to spend $65 in a million other places to play the game.
Yeah, the money's not like the issue for me, really. It's just the bullshit of the org. I don't really want to support them anymore.
That's it. I mean, Kenny's right. It's not the money. God knows. I'm holding a gun that I haven't really shot in a thing.
$2,200 of nothing.
I'm willing to spend money on a gun. $65 is nothing.
That gun makes Kenny Terry cry. He's like, that's not a real limited gun.
Dude, I don't know. I kind of like that Springfield.
I like this
It's
gun.
not a real limited gun. You're correct, but
No, it's not. It's not 40. If it was 40, then you could have that discussion a little bit more.
I mean that, and you got the sissy aiming solution on it, but it's okay.
It, but I can pull that off, and I can put the iron sights on it. You can't do that with your Infinity.
Yeah, can you
Listen.
change the breech face and shoot 9 or 40 in that? Yeah, my Infinity can.
That's right.
You can't pull the breech face off on that.
That's right. It's
10
Robert-
bucks and
Robert-
10 bucks and some JB Weld. I can make anything happen
it's
for
like
one shot.
he's driving the Ford and you're driving the Hyundai, and everyone knows no girl ever got pregnant in the back of a Hyundai.
Kind of funny.
There's a lot of women in trailer parks that would care to disagree with that. No, gosh, it's tough because I'm kind of with you, Kenny. I mean, it's like it's not the money to me, but it's the principle that USPSA has now. Here's one of the big issues to me. USPSA can't get their own shit in order. They just can't. I mean, they're burning money left, right, and center. They can't run a nationals without losing money, which is not to say you have to make money, but you should at least not be losing money really badly. If they can't solve their own financial house, and the only way for them to do that is on the backs of the membership, and by doing so, they're going to just keep doubling down and just making the membership pay more and more and more. It goes back to this idea that no nation has ever taxed itself into prosperity, right? And so it's like, do you want to support an organization that doesn't have the fiduciary responsibility to take care of the interest of that organization without actually just lumping it all on the backs of the taxpayer? I mean, taxpayer, the membership, excuse me, but it means
The same.
It's kind of similar.
Okay, so then what's your recourse?
That's the problem.
Okay, so let's say USPSA somehow loses, a ton of members in the next 6 months because they're upset over what happened. Let's say USPSA comes back at the beginning of next year and says, "Oh, we thought we were going to get all this money from raising match fee or from membership dues, and we still lost $250,000. Okay, so what? What consequence happens to the board? What consequence happens to the organization?
Well,
I don't know.
The
You
problem,
tell.
there's been no consequences for the board. I mean, that's the problem, right?
Right. I mean, the only example I can think of where there was enough of a shock to USPSA to actually institute significant changes is when IDPA was formed. Because IDPA formed, pulled 30 to 50% of USPSA's memberships right away, and that was enough of an economic shock for them to go, "Oh, maybe this production is a real thing."
Right.
Well, I think that's what people are looking for, is the economic shock. I mean, because there's plenty of us, if some new great hit factor shooting sport that is very similar to USPSA came out and the yearly membership was $70, I think we'd all be willing to pay it. But the problem is with USPSA, it's already damaged itself so much in the current form that it's been into. It's I think a lot of us would be very happy for them to lose 40% of the membership and to actually have to take some financial onus on themselves to no, we can't pay for travel. In these positions, you attended those matches before you were a board member, feel free to attend those sectionals and those area championships on your own dime, like you were doing. We don't need people to show up for these meetings. Only the employees should have company credit cards, and those purchases should be made in almost full transparency, at least on an annual basis. Maybe not on the end of a monthly, but they need to get their house in order, because there's not even, it's so bad there's not even competition that's pulling other people away. Because IDPA is IDPA, but it's very different for shooters like us to go into IDPA nowadays. But it's just almost we just had enough. It's more fun to get a group of friends and print off 7 drills from the internet and go have your own little weird competition. All right, now we're going to go shoot this drill. Now we're going to go shoot this B8 drill. And now we're going to shoot this scrambler drill. Than it is sometimes to want to participate in USPSA with all the drama that constantly is bleeding itself into level 1s.
Well, I'm doing really, really rough math, but if you take the annual increase and times that just by like the 20,000 number, it's $500,000 a year increase that the organization now has from the membership. And so
It's almost as if there might be like a $500,000 deficit a year.
I think if you look at the meeting minutes, you will notice that they tabled the financials. So there is a very good question to be asked, in my opinion, of why did they need to pass this so quickly right now under the cover of darkness without any member input? Are the financials that bad? Is something so bad with like USPSA finances that they had to get that money and get that money quick? I don't know, because they're trying to cook the books. I suspect that USPSA this year is already severely in the hole, and they're trying to mask that with their membership fees, knowing that this is about the time of year when people are going to potentially be renewing
the shoot majors, yep,
to do all that stuff, and so they're going to try and get their money as quickly as possible. And I don't know, because they won't tell us honest numbers, and so that's certainly a concern. But that's, I mean, $500,000 increase in a year it's nothing to sneeze at. But at the same time, the membership is now stuck in the game of playing, well, what value are we getting out of the organization? We get a rule book, we get a classification system, and we get a nationals. And arguably apparently that 3-gun nationals was pretty darn good. Sounds like they did a really good job with that. But the vast majority of the members.
That's because it was contracted out to Vortex. USPSA itself had absolutely nothing to do with that match.
Well, exactly. If but that's the problem, is USPSA as an organization is in charge of running all the nationals. And so if we let USPSA put together a subpar nationals like is historically has been done, well, are we basically increasing the membership fees to return a suboptimal product? And these are just actually legitimate questions that I think the organization should be answering to the members. And I understand the board's going to be vilified no matter what they do. I wrote an email, and I was pretty damn pissed. And I ran it past Tommy. I ran it past some people, and then I sent it. And I have no doubt they'll never answer it. They don't care.
Oh, they read it, but you're right, they won't answer it.
Yeah, it's not in their wheelhouse to care enough about. No, that's not fair. I think individually the board members do care about the members and the organization, but when they get together you have to believe that. To some extent, you have to believe that like individually they want to see. Maybe I'm being naive, Kenny. Hell, I don't know.
I mean, I can't say that I'd say 50% may actually care about the members.
No, I think there's people that have gotten in there that genuinely want to do the right thing. Frank Rizzi is by far the one person on the organization. Scott Arnberg, although I don't know because he voted for this membership. It's not the increase. Your financial it's how they messaged it.
There's none of us have any belief that this $500,000, if that's the increase, is going to go into making things better. Hey, we're going to start sending out matches and boxes. Hey, we made some sort of rate where we're going to be able to help the clubs more, or we're going to have a new survey system, or we're going to send out people to. No, it is the old Dave Ramsey term. It's getting a bigger shovel to fill a bigger hole. Like that's what it is. It's. Yemin, final thoughts on this?
It's really about trying to get a real message of consequence, right? So, Big Salty has a board, right? Like, let's say the Big Salty board did something similarly egregious. Like, is there a place that the members can go for recourse, right? Whether it's, hey, we don't appreciate what's being done, you can actually recall a board member or something like that.
I don't know if we have a way to recall the board members, but
so I don't know if Big Salty, but Slipso, we're all voted in every year.
Yeah.
Right, but let's say for some reason you guys decided to go on this crazy spending spree and all this, and went back to the slips of guys and said, hey, we got to we got to double the price of dues, right? And all the guys at the slips are really upset about that. Okay, and what's your avenue for recourse?
Well, as the membership, fundamentally, the only thing you really can do is vote with your pocketbook, and that's the only way that you can make your voice heard. The problem, and I think you're kind of getting to this, Heman, is that I think there are people on the board that they look at this and they'd be like, the membership is going to be upset. And they're going to grumble, and they're going to be all pissed off, and they'll spend their 15 minutes on the internet being all upset. And then every single one of them, whether it's Robert Wyatt or Rob Chavis, Tyler Turner, Ben Berry, all these guys who've been playing this game for the last umpteen years, and they're not going anywhere. They're still going to renew. They're still going to shoot USPSA, and they're just going to give us their fee. They'll be all pissed for a minute, but when it comes time, they're still going to pay the fee. And I think that's how they think of us. Is they're just going to that we're just going to keep paying it. And to be fair, they're not entirely wrong. And that's right. The hard thing.
Other than people need to prove them wrong at some point. I mean,
well,
that's true.
Well, it's you're going to prove the organization as a whole wrong, right? So, let's say, for example, if you look at the people who voted on this, right? Area 6 director, he's already termed out, right? He's, his term ends at the end of the year. Okay, so what consequences is going to be served there? If we come back, if the organization comes back next year and says, oh, even with the dues increase, we lost X number of members, and we're actually, $250,000 in the hole.
Well,
there is no person.
I think this is one of the things that kind of happens is that politicians will enact policies that they will not have to suffer the consequences for later on.
Oh, you mean like the board of directors who are all required to be life members, and so they didn't have to actually suffer the punishment of raising the membership fees?
Well, not only
that was mighty convenient, wasn't it?
Not only that, I think there will probably be a lot of retirements. And I think a lot of people see that their days on the board are numbered, and so when the finances come out as being so god awful, cancerous, they can be like, "We tried to fix it. Hey, we did our best. Bye." Like, you eventually run to that point where you enact stuff that you will not suffer the consequences for them. And I think they are trying to put themselves in a position where they do not have to suffer the consequences of financial mismanagement.
Well, certainly. Like I said, not one member of the board is going to have to worry about the increase in membership fees.
Yep.
Because they're all life members.
So here's an interesting corollary, right? So life membership basically doubled. Does that have the unintended consequence of actually reducing the pool of people who are eligible to lead the organization?
Yes.
Yes. Functionally, yeah.
It absolutely does. Well, and this is why.
So they basically are pulling the ladder up behind them.
It's an unintended consequence, possibly.
Well,
USPSA is really become the poster child for unintended consequences over the past 2 or 3 years, haven't they now?
I don't know what you're talking about. I
don't either. But from the outside looking in, it sure feels like USPSA on the board of directors, it feels like basically with Foley, after that, all they've been doing is just like banging around from end to end like a bowling ball with the bumpers up, and they we'll try this, and they can never seem to get anything right. And it starts to beg the question of what is the value of these people?
Well, there's no value in a board without a president that actually can take the board and tell them, you can go with me in this direction, to actually choose a direction. Because all that's happening now is that they're sitting there and they're just eating out the kind of people on the periphery that could have a majority or get a majority or vote people in, because now they're just solidifying into older people who have been around. So it's all it is. But so you can hurt him even more. Do what you want. It's kind of it's a jacked situation.
Maybe everybody I mean, it's hard. I think my 5-year membership ends in like 26 or something like that. But I mean, maybe if people are on the annual, decide you're just not going to shoot a major. Or better yet, match directors, instead of doing level 2s, do a level 1.
And I think that's where I think when clubs remove themselves from USPSA for shorter periods of time, maybe quarterly or 6 months periods of time, that will kind of show the organization that they need to do something else. But
Well, let's assume that happens just really quick. But let's assume that happens, and the organization takes a massive loss. Then what?
Then the organization has to restructure itself before it fades and goes away. Everybody has to get lean at some point and knock it off.
Yeah.
Because at one point you require professional help. And then professional help shows up and they're like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're not doing this. And then once people understand that those things aren't happening and that there might be bylaws put in place and more elections go by, then you let USPSA whittle it down to 15,000 members and see how it goes from there. The sport can come back. Everyone wants to shoot the sport, but the people in charge have to be handcuffed because they won't stop themselves.
Well, that's the funny thing, though, Tommy. It's like yesterday. I mean, like, because I put that post out onto our Utah USPSA Facebook page, and I think I had like 15 shares of people sharing, like, this is what the board did. And a day later, we're out there, and I'm up on top of the roof of the classroom, like installing that solar panel. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, this is our organization. SLPSA is our home. That's where we go to hang out with Kenny and Tom and our friends. And that's where we shoot. And ultimately, that's where our loyalty really lies. This USPSA as an organization, the only value they offer to like SLPSA is a classification system and a rule book. They don't give us anything outside of that.
Yep.
And that's kind of a hard thing when you think about it, because I'm sitting there and I'm up on that roof and I'm looking down, and Blake and Roy are sitting there. They're rebuilding fences. Jim's over there and he's welding up tabs on the back of our poppers so that we can use them for activators. USPSA doesn't help with that. They never show up and help us build walls. The only thing they do is stand there with their hand out saying, give us more money.
Yeah, but the benefit of having an organization that goes nationwide, I mean, like, there's plenty of multi-gun clubs that did a fantastic job and are able to put on these great matches, and people go there and they learn the rule book for whatever range they're shooting at, for whatever championship or whatever they're participating in multi-gun for, after the dwindling of the patchwork of different confederations or whatever of shooting sports. But like that sport still continues on a club-to-club level. And outlaw matches, the outlaw matches. And I think, I don't know, like maybe Kenny can add to this, is like, is there more prestige of winning a USPSA match than just winning a big match?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it all comes down to who's there.
Right? I mean, if the rulebook sucks, the rulebook sucks. But if you're shooting a guy against a guy who's really good and has to perform under the same set of rules.
Well, Kenny, let me ask you this question then. Does the level marker, does that determine whether you'd shoot it or not?
No.
That's kind of my thought. Is if Utah puts on a level 1 match, and they're like, and we just come out and say, hey, we're going to do the same exact thing that we do at a level 2 match. We're gonna have chrono. We'll have a major. We'll have all of our awards. We're gonna treat it like that, but we're gonna call it a level 1, because if we call it a level 1, we don't have the same involvement with USPSA.
And that's the one thing, is like, you could do that. The other part is too, is like, we all know that the level by the match has nothing to do with the prestige of winning the match, because there's a lot of guys holding L10 trophies from level 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what are their names? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody?
Josh Alwood.
Ron Avery won one like way back in the day. Like, it doesn't matter. Anyways, if you want to win L10, at least do yourself the dignity of doing it with the Dominate Defense belt. Head on over to DominateDefense.com. Use promo code PARA10. Save 10% off your order. Check out Precision Holster's Fast Holster. quite possibly one of the best holsters out there on the market. Hang it up to a boss hanger, clip it right onto the belt, use it for your IDPA, USPSA. Check out their magazine pouches. I use their IDPA ones. I find them to be absolutely fantastic and the best magazine pouches I've ever used. Check those guys out. Also, Rune Tactical, get +1, one more bullet in the gun. Use promo code PARA10 at all of our sponsors, save 10% off. And if you want to make your guide rod heavier because your 77-ounce pistol just won't perform, check out W74 guide rods. Mr. Isaac will seemingly send you something that's heavier than what's normally can be used.
Well, hey, wasn't he third carry optics at Area 1 this weekend?
He was. He shot real well.
Yep.
He did a good job. He
Yeah,
did a
So
real good job.
that 77 ounces clearly helped him.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what did it.
Yep.
it's all the weight. It's not the amount of practice that he
It's not
put
the
in.
practice.
It's not his impressive skill or his mental game. It was that W74 guide rod.
The Captain America physique, none of those things help. It's literally just the ounces.
No. Yeah, it was purely the guide rod. That's why you too should go buy a W74 guide rod. Only the best.
Only the best.
And support
from Ron-
USPSA where it matters the most, at the grassroots level.
Yep.
The grassroots level.
And the grassroots level may mean not supporting them at all. Remember that. Support USPSA by not supporting them at all. That's your president speaking in exile. Here we go.
From Ron Davison. I just got my hands on a DWX, and I'm intended to having it milled for a Trijicon RMR footprint for limited optic division by Scott at Impact Machine, who's super nice, by the way. He actually really is. Am I killing the resale value by milling it, and should I have the front sight taken off as it will apparently serve no purpose?
So,
It
Kenny,
really doesn't matter.
on your competition guns, how often do you think about the resale value before you literally shoot the hell out of them and abuse them and put a bunch of crap on them?
Oh, solid about 0%.
Why?
I don't give a shit. It's a competition gun. It's gonna get used, and
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I mean, like it's gonna get messed up. There are no points in thinking about the resale value of the competition blaster.
People pay $300 to have the battle-worn look Cerakoted onto their pistol
yeah, you're
to
just
make it
giving
look
them the
like
battle
what we
one.
did, in a couple months of competition.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you want. If we are all going to build like a ground up pistol from for like carry optics or limited optics division, and we had our optic of our choice, like I want the non-optics ready model. I will send it off to somewhere. I will get this thing completely mated down, lowered, direct milled onto this thing so I can tap it in as best I can get. I'm going to go over here and get this trigger to be put on this thing. And then you're going to sit there and shoot. And the other part about resale value is if you told people honestly how many rounds you put through these guns, that was your competition gun, and then put them on the resale market, guess
You'd
how
be
many
embarrassed.
people, this ain't a Toyota Tacoma. People are going to be like, no, I'm not going to buy that gun, because especially this is what's going to happen with you anyway. You're going to want some of the money you put into that gun back. And so you're going to be like, oh, I'm selling this thing for $1,700. It's like, I can get the new one for $13. It's like, but this one's got a dot on it. And this one has a special guide rod. Well, how many rounds has this thing shot? And then the
50.
real number's like 23,536. And you're like a couple thousand. That's what you're saying?
And then they look down the barrel and they're like, is it a shotgun?
Yeah.
Where's
You
the
got-
Netflix?
You got some
It's
HK Mark 23 or some Sig Sauer Equinox edition that's some Safe Queen. Go ahead and put that away. But there's the competition gun should have no resale. It literally should be shot till it's broken, or till you put a round that was too much of the old pow pow in the case.
Yeah.
Eamon?
that was a common thing in California. Everybody asks, how many rounds to this gun? 50 to 100.
One box.
So
I took it out.
that's right.
I shot
I
it with a
test fired
box.
I
Me-
test fired it.
I always answer back. Me and my boyfriend took it out and shot one box through it. It was amazing. It's just too powerful for us. And then then you send it back.
And then everybody sees Tom when they believe it.
Whoa.
Listen, I got those gay good looks at 40. You wish you had them. You wishing. People looking at me at the pool.
From Alex Mansfield.
The front side posts. Yeah, I don't know. I think
Take
we've
it
all
off.
taken our front side. Yeah, it's
I
You'll
mean,
just break it in a port. Just take it off.
front sight. I mean, you could have the front sight post on it. I mean, if they're milling out the back dovetail in the DWX, right? When you send it off to get it milled, because it's a little bit forward.
Yeah.
So, it's gone.
I mean, if you really want to, he can mill it and put a plate system on that Jason Kai's supplied to him. You can do that. But the whole beauty of the milling, as I've found out, is, damn, it gets that dot low.
There is something to say still about using a plate system, and that is when you up the threads on the plate, you've only effed up the threads.
That's true.
On the plate.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Just don't F up the threads.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So, and I would like everyone, once you get it milled, to send you the sheet of these are what screws you should use. Dummy. Don't try to thread something else in here.
But if you mess up, Jared Stepp will be there with the Dremel.
Dremel will clean it up.
Yes.
That's right. From Alex Mansfield, with all the majors happening, no overall limited optics winner beating the overall carry optics winner, does it matter if they're separated? I think Casey Sibio won this weekend at Area 1 over carry optics.
He almost won the match in limited
Yeah.
optics.
So,
So why haven't we seen this yet?
The problem didn't KC do that a couple times in CO too though when he was shooting that Zev?
probably, yeah.
I mean,
It's just a matter of time.
I think
Get
Casey could do
more
it with
people.
either gun.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, is there a distinct advantage, or are people just not used to shooting their guns yet?
I think next year you're going to see a substantially larger amount of people shooting LO, and you'll start to see even more differences between the two of them. Will it matter?
You mean the ones who survived the membership dues purge?
That is also true. That is also
So all
true.
the pro shooters will still be shooting LO, but
Yeah. And so, I mean, hey, if you get your matches comped, you're doing pretty good. Let's see. Ron Davison. Maybe talk about what a noob should expect at Utah State. Hookers and below, baby.
No, it's cream soda and vanilla ice cream.
gross.
Don't you be ruining this for me, Kenny.
It is
On a hot day, you would take either one of those things in the middle of a stage.
See,
You know
vanilla
it.
ice cream tastes like nothing. Cream soda tastes like somebody shit in a bottle.
Oh,
take it.
So
Say
wait,
water.
hang on a second. For you to say that it tastes like shit in a bottle implies that you've drank shit in
Look,
a
we've
bottle.
all been in rough situations, Robert. All right.
It was dark and stormy, and I was thirsty.
he's huffing poop out of a Ziploc bag to get high. It's what it sounds like.
Ooh.
So he said he's never shot a 2-day match before, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be hot. So be physically prepared. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure your gear's ready. Make sure you got backup gear.
Plenty of shade. I think the one thing that people kind of take for granted is like, hey, there's all these cool people. I want to stand up and I want to talk to you and let me see your gun and let me see that gun and I'll stand over here and we'll walk over here. Hey, this guy's shooting. Hey, look at this stage. And what you don't do is sit down. Like, your job at a major match is to, this gun's work. Yes, this gun looks like everything's still tight. The magazines are full. I've hydrated. And you sit down. And then, like, you do a little bit of prep there, and you do your mental preparation, and you'll be mostly okay. But if you don't sit down and drink water and eat, there's going to be a precipitous decline of your stage performance throughout the day.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the first day of Utah State's the longest day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever Tommy said.
Yeah, sit down, have your game plan set up. But yeah, I mean, there will be plenty of people to talk to, and you'll have plenty of time to see people. And like, all of us are willing to go out to dinner with people. There'll be time for that. But don't kick yourself on the ride home because you decided not to pay attention to the things that you should pay attention to. Like the what is it? The chair is the dot occluding of your match. It keeps you in the right frame of reference. So sit your ass down. Whatever you can do from the chair, that's the plan.
Yeah, and then so he's never shot a 2-day match. So from the mindset of it, it's a big match, long match. Don't get wound up over like little mistakes. Everybody's gonna make a couple. Whoever wins the match will make a couple. So long match. Don't get yourself wound up over bad stage.
Yeah,
or even 2 bad stages.
You can definitely take
Unless your name's Kenny Terry, and then screw up the first couple stages, and then spend the rest of the match in rage mode where he comes back to win at the last moment. That's usually pretty impressive.
It's worked well for me.
Kenny's major match strategy is like one of those like super dad movies. Like he gets his kid gets kidnapped, he gets stabbed, he gets everything taken, he gets thrown off the road at 70 miles an hour, and he crawls out and he's just like, I can't let him take her. And he starts stumbling, then all of a sudden that stumble turns into a run, then it turns into getting a crowbar, then it turns into attacking 13 guys in a hotel room, and then getting a pistol, and finding out his daughter's been moved to Bermuda, then going to Bermuda, like sneaking up on the beach and like killing everybody, and then like losing to Bob Crow by like 1/8%.
Yeah. The amount of times that's happened is mildly frustrating.
Well, I know the guy in stats this year, so I can hook you up.
Can you give me a fake USPSA number then?
I can arrange this.
I mean,
what's Troy's USPSA number?
Yes.
I'll sign it to a D class. Yeah, like you can easily let. I mean, everyone's had this. It's not IDPA. IDPA, you completely bone zone a stage. Like, congratulations, welcome to last. You're done. Time Plus has had its way with you, and now we'll see your daughter and your wife. But like, you can easily. There's plenty of us where we've like screwed up a 50-point stage, and took that into a 140-point stage on the next stage, and just left it on the ground in there. So the scoring will allow you, stage points will allow you to crawl back in whatever division you are. And if you're kind of new to major matches, I would advise you not to constantly be looking at your practice score updates and then deciding to change your approach to the stages based on that, because no one is that good. And when you are that good, well,
there's a lot of guys that good.
There's a lot of guys that good, but you are always trading something.
Here, let's put it this way:
make that
nobody
advantage.
Listens to this show is that good.
Because if you could say, Kenny, if you could say like,
I listen to this show. Ah, crap.
But Kenny, like if you sit there and you go like, I'm a couple points behind, right? And you go like, I gotta send it to hook it up, right, to get this. If you do that on stage 2 and being like, he got me on the last stage, I'll just send it on this one and hook it up.
No, so you never do that. Like, so if you've never shot a major, first off, the way you manage a one-day match versus managing a major match is totally different. A one-day match, 6 stages, one fuck-up might cost you the match. A major match is not going to. The way I do it on a 2-day match, the first day I'll never look at the scores. I'm just going to shoot. After the first day, I'll look at the scores, see if I'm in contention. If I'm not in contention, if I'm in contention, then I look at the scores every stage the second day. And if we need to make something happen, we'll make something happen. If I'm going to the last stage with a 50-point lead, I'm going to shoot that last stage like a bitch.
It's a reasonable approach.
Wait, does Kenny Terry actually shoot stages like a bitch?
I've seen him do it.
Colorado State a couple years ago, I had a really big lead. Like, all I had to do was like not DQ. And I shot the stage very slow. And a lot of alphas, because I knew I needed to finish the stage, and it was over.
Yeah,
right,
I mean, you can adjust that approach, but you can't.
To be honest, don't go that approach until you're in contention of the match.
Yes.
Like, to be honest, until you're actually in contention of the match, I don't think it's worth ever looking at the scores. Just shoot to your ability, and whatever shakes out, shakes out.
Yeah, right. And then if you need to make up the match points on a stage, that is a pretty big gamble.
Yeah. A lot. Not to be rude, a lot of people aren't good enough to actually be able to change how they shoot a stage to be able to gain something. Normally, if they try to do it, they're just gonna make it worse on themselves.
But if they could always make it better for themselves, then they would shoot like that all the time. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Let's see. From the Joe Rogan of Sioux Falls, Andy Erickson. Would limited optics be more interesting with major scoring, just like limited?
No, because major minor isn't interesting in limited. Anybody's competitive shoots major, anybody that's not competitive shoots minor. And limited optics would be the same way. Anybody wants to be competitive would shoot major.
It's a fair point.
And the manufacturers don't want it, and so we're going to pay our $65 and shoot 9mm.
True story. True story. Let's see, from Moisha. Question for Kenny. Guessing as a high-end pistol shooter, you don't clean your guns any more than necessary. How has this impacted how often you clean and how you clean your long-range stuff? About the same as other long-range people you shoot with?
Yeah, so I clean my pistols a lot, and I clean my rifles a lot. And the long-range community is a lot like the pistol community. Some guys say don't clean the gun until you lose accuracy. Some guys say clean the gun every time you shoot it. So I clean my long-range guns every time I shoot it. Same reason. Just that way I'm going out with a known rifle.
Yeah. From Jeff Smith. Since you will inevitably discuss the membership price increase, what were the old rates and what benefits do we actually get from the increased prices? I think
We kind of covered that.
Okay.
We gotta cover that.
Jack and
Yeah.
shit,
Direct all-
pretty much.
Direct all questions to board@uspsa.org.
Well, they will be promptly ignored, just like
Yeah.
mine.
Oh, I know that if you put 3 letters in any email, you will not get a response, or you'll get thrown out of the Facebook page. They are Y, M, and L, and they will be very much pushed off into the pit where the occult bodies go.
Jack Flash, what do you think about the Bulltac Pro and ported barrels in general? I don't know that. I don't know that gun very well.
I mean, they're
Bortac
You
Pro.
should call up your. Oh no, wait, Bulltac one.
Is this a pistol or a rifle?
It's got to be. It's got to be a pistol. Jared would probably know. I've seen ported barrels. They work. They're effective.
Oh, Bull from Bull Armory. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Bull Armory makes good stuff. I think Jared's had some. Dave Blanton has shot a bunch of their stuff.
Yeah,
they're
make
a quality product.
they make good.
I'd honestly ask Dave.
Ported barrels. I've shot a bunch of the 5 different ported Glocks, and a good porting job feels very soft and manageable. Getting it out. So I've thought about putting a ramjet on my Glock 19 and messing with that, because it's kind of a weird thing. It doesn't really change the recoil impulse as like how weight does. It really just kind of flattens it out, and the gun seems to kind of return to the same spot on a lot of those. So I would mess with it, but the other thing about porting, it's do you really need the porting? Because there's always.
Have you ever shot that heavy 9mm?
I know.
And that recoil needs
Tame.
to be tamed.
It's
And sometimes that 54-ounce Shadow 2 is just not enough. You need
instead
to
of
get a compensator behind that baby.
pulling the rifle into your shoulder a little bit more, you decide to go for the surefire break because the A2 flash hider wasn't taming the recoil of the 5.56 as much. Yeah, I hear you.
From our good friend Josh Zalwig, Joey Sauerland. I don't know. Is that how you say his name? Sauerland? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's Joey.
Okay,
Yeah,
has won
Sauerland.
every area match this year in limited. His overall score is usually around 95%. He's got to be the favorite for limited at Nats this year. What do you think he could do in open? I don't know. I'm ignorant. Kenny?
Limited
I mean,
open transition.
It's hard to say he's favored just because it's one area. You kind of got to favor the guys that have already won the previous nationals, especially because like Niels and Mason, they're not shooting limited, but they'll still show up and win nationals. So it's hard to say he's favored, but just because you're good in limited doesn't mean you'll be good in open.
What's the hardest part? What's hard for you shooting open?
You have to shoot faster, more aggressive. To
On
me,
the
that's the
move?
hard. Yeah.
I believe it.
For people like me that are a little more an accurate shooter, that pays off a little more in limited than open.
Sure. Last question from Nate Osborne. If you were building a new practical shooting organization from the ground up, what are a few features of your new org, both in how it runs, direction, on stage design, divisions, etc.? What are lessons you learned? What are lessons learned you take from your own experience in shooting and apply?
Yemen?
I would be the God Emperor of the organization, and Robert would be my propaganda minister, and Kenny Terry would be the person that goes out and fixes problems. No questions asked.
The loan shark. So like if you had a magic wand and dictatorship, let's say instead of starting this new organization, USPSA was the organization. What would be a couple things that you would take if this was ground up USPSA, and it was your privately owned shooting sport?
IPSC, USPSA. I mean, honestly, USPSA and IPSC are still the best. They're the best games out there.
I think.
I mean,
you'd have to take hit factor scoring with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you not build a new shooting organization and not have it turn into USPSA IPSC? It really is kind of the best shooting. I mean, best pistol shooting organization out there.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's. I
It
mean,
just-
I think
it just
that's
is.
because the sport and the premise of the sport is fundamentally good. It's where you really get into how the organization is governed, how it's managed. That becomes a little bit more contentious, right? I think the value of USPSA is that regardless of what sort of missteps happens at the organizational level, there's really not something that will completely destroy USPSA. I mean, for better or for worse, you would have to have a pretty cataclysmic event, and every event that we've had, over the last couple of years, it's like, okay, these weren't great, but the organization will still basically survive, right? Because it doesn't ask that much of of the clubs. I mean, realistically, end of the day, Slip says like, okay, we're asking for $1.50, $3 if you run a classifier. That impact really is not enough to the point where a club will go, it's not worth it for us to affiliate anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the counter to that, honestly, is that you don't have to be a member to shoot USPSA, and
Correct.
so the only stick that you have is the membership fee. And if you don't have to be a member, and you've got this membership fee, then there's undoubtedly going to be a bunch of people who are like, I'm just not. It's 65 isn't worth it to me.
Well, the one thing about the membership fee that you got to think about is you have to have value in yourself that you want to be classified in the right classification to compete where you think you could be actually productive. If you do not value yourself in that, then there's no reason to become a member, because that's the driving force for all of us when we become members is like, I want to be classified correctly so I can go out there and shoot. If I was starting a new organization right off the bat, I would keep it private. I think there's a lot of drama that gets brought up about IDPA, but because of the structure of its organization, it's none of our damn business. Like that organization survived a divorce. It's had people, founding members, come and go and disagree or not disagree with it. It's had complete shifts and rule changes, and they have an incentive financially to keep that organization going.
Well,
and
yeah,
so there's
IDPA is the example, though, Tommy. I mean, they suffered horribly under that rule change, and only now are they starting to recover from it, because they kind of like, okay, yeah, we sort of screwed that up. They didn't get rid of the 1 second, but they
gave you 37 different rules that were much better than the previous rules that were there.
They eventually did get there,
and
so that is a good point.
But from all the this person shot appendix, or we're going to throw them off to the Facebook page. This 6 months later, guess what? Everyone can shoot an appendix. Put a light on the thing too.
Right.
Like it's kind of they can actually respond to the Facebook problems because they are incentivized to do it instead of hiding behind 3 years of elections and anonymity because this board meeting's held in secret. That's one of the things.
But the exchange, excuse me, what the exchange though is the membership of the organization. Then they really have no recourse.
Well, they have.
I'm not saying we have
on
a lot of recourse right now, but
in a private
we
organization,
kinda
you
do.
have the ultimate recourse is that you directly hurt people financially. When it's not your money, you generally do not give a shit when it starts going away. But then when
Yeah,
you get held on the
fair.
line for all that money going away, then you start going, "Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. We're going to get blamed for this." And so then you start fixing it up, but when it's like Burger King. Burger King's got a banger of a theme song. They got an amp that works all the time, and the Whopper quality's through the freaking roof. You know why? Because they got hurt by having poor quality stuff in shitty restaurants and not good commercials. No one remembers the King anymore, but everyone knows BK, have it your way, you rule. So I would say, like, you have all the recourse in the world, because the other part is, too, it's like, watch those numbers go away, watch how fast it gets fixed, and I think IDPA is the absolute, like, IDPA has ports in ESP and in Carry Optics because they are responding to people.
Yeah.
Instantly. Done. So, keep it private.
There you go.
Private.
All
for
I know is
profit.
now I want a Whopper.
Freaking sometimes those damn things are good.
Damn it, Kenny, go eat one, and then after you have the shits for 3 weeks, you won't want it anymore.
I don't have a gallbladder. All the shit.
Ooh.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. Jack in the Box, I
The
think, is
burgers
still
are
better.
okay.
Burgers are
Jack in the
good.
Box.
Burgers are okay. Fries, not so much.
Fries aren't so good.
I probably haven't eaten at a Burger King realistically in like 15 years.
When was the last time you actually even ate fast food, Robert?
Yesterday.
Or
I
was
had-
it Taco Bell?
I had one intro for
that was
Robert,
last
which was he can't turn down a free meal because, look at him.
Ooh.
It was on the list. I scratched it off and went with the architect one. I'm still a decent person. That's why I didn't bring it up. Thanks for downloading, listening, and
Definitely didn't bring it up.
Thanks for downloading, listening, and subscribing. We encourage you guys to be heads up on the voting process for USPSA. At least play the violin while the ship goes down. Do all that jazz. Tell a friend. Don't tell a friend. Do all that stuff. And for Robert White, Kenny, Terry, Eamon, Lynn, I'm Tom Nelson. Bidding you peace, love, and souls. We depart into the open water of the sea of life on a little tugboat we like to call it the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Toot toot.
For the Empire.
Bum, bum, bum. Did you guys ever watch some of those reels on the old Instagram? Did you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
it comes up all the time.
they have that. I never knew this, but like at the end of episode 1, where they're having the parade with the Nabooians.
All right, everybody start uploading your.
And the
while we're
Gungans.
talking, everybody start uploading.
I'm still recording.
I want.
I'll stop recording. You can cut
No,
it.
I just get.
Anyways, we're still on YouTube, so don't cut it out there. But so they're playing that song, and it's like this very joyous song. But all it is a sped up version of the Empire's thing sung by children instead of the awing of the other people, because it went exactly the way Palpatine wanted it. And then they slow it down. They show you like, oh my gosh, this is some in depth stuff. So
That's funny.
check it out.
That's